My senior year of high school, I was sitting in math class when my guidance counselor came to the door and loudly interrupted my teacher and asked to see me immediately. So I follow her up to her office, heart pounding, trembling, absolutely terrified, and she closes the door behind her, and then she turns to me with this huge smile on her face and tells me that I've been accepted into a prestigious Ivy League university. And she picks up the phone on her desk and she asks me, "Do you want to call your mom to tell her the good news?" And I say, "No, we can't afford it." And she says, "Oh." And that was it. I went back to class. You see, I had only applied to the school just to see if I could get in. I didn't think I would actually go. I had seen the ridiculous price tag that the school charged for tuition, and I knew that there was no way that my family could afford it, and so instead I kept it to myself and said nothing. I ended up going to our in-state school on a full scholarship, and I was really proud to do that and not be a burden on my family. And then, one day, years later, I found out that I could have qualified for financial aid that would have reduced the sticker price at this prestigious school to $0. And I thought back on that moment in my counselor's office, and I felt cheated. I felt cheated of that moment when I could have made a choice, but nobody was there to tell me that I had a choice to make. For the past 10 years, I've been working to help coach students through the college admissions process, helping them refine applications and prepare for tests like the SAT and ACT. This was a career that I blindly stumbled into when I needed a part-time job while working towards my PhD, and I saw a Craigslist ad for test prep tutors. I soon found myself working with people from well-known political families, Hollywood celebrities, even foreign royalty prepare for college. And my advice did not come cheap. Many of the families that I worked with spent thousands, and some of them spent tens of thousands of dollars, more than what some colleges charge for tuition, on college admissions counseling and test prep tutoring. And as mind-boggling as this was, I soon realized that there is a reason that people believe that this advice is worth paying good money for. It is because college admissions is a shockingly subjective process. To give you a sense of this, I'd like to give you a glimpse behind the curtain of essentially how admissions works at a selective institution. Imagine that each of these boxes represents 500 students. So 40,000 applicants for, say, 6,000 seats in a freshman class. Now, that is an overwhelming number of applications. So obviously, we're not going to read them all. We're going to do an initial computerized review to weed out applicants who don't meet basic criteria. So we're going to cut 21,000 students off the bat, and we're going to fast track 1,000 through to virtually guaranteed admission because the computer has decided, well, they look pretty awesome. And so now we have about 18,000 students left who are going to get a more thorough review by human beings. Some of the students will be sorted in this round into admit and deny, and the remainder will go to what's called committee. In committee, they will be discussed in greater detail, and a vote will be taken to decide whether to admit, waitlist, or deny each student. The thing is, going to committee is likely good news for the students who know how to tell their stories in a way that will positively sway admissions officers. Committee members will say things like, "But look at how much his essay shows how much he's changed," or "I love how well she tied together her love of computer science with her passion for the banjo." And others will nod their heads in agreement, and they'll vote. And if enough hands go up, then they're in. And that is why students who have access to resources to polish their applications to perfection have a serious leg up on those who don't. Those are the students that often get in, and others are left behind. Today, I'm feeling really concerned about the state of college admissions given what we know about the links between a college education and social mobility. Did you know that in the US today, the unemployment rate is 3 times higher for high school graduates who don't attend college than for those who do? Or that after adjusting for inflation, high school-only graduates are actually making less today than their parents did at their age? Now, although it's true that college may not be the only path to better socioeconomic circumstances, it is by far the one paved with the most statistical assurance. That if you graduate from college today, you are significantly more likely to be financially better off than if you didn't. Now, colleges have done a lot of things to try to improve access to college for underrepresented minority students and low-income students. They've implemented affirmative action. They've made standardized tests like the SAT and ACT optional. They've created alternative admissions methods. But recent studies have shown that none of these policies have worked on a broad scale to improve access for less advantaged students. After years of working in private college prep, I felt that I wasn't doing enough to help these students. The students who, like me, were far from well-versed in the nuances of financial aid and scholarships, or who hadn't learned the art of crafting themselves in a way that admissions officers would perceive as desirable. And so today, my work on college admissions has moved online. For the past 3 years, I've worked for a company whose mission is to make college more accessible by providing free and low-cost support online to students preparing for standardized tests like the SAT and ACT. Because I've now created college prep content that has reached millions of young people instead of dozens, I've seen firsthand the immense power of the internet to scale the distribution of what was previously insider information. If you have any doubts about the ability of the internet to reach young people today, allow me to show you a graph of traffic to our YouTube channel for SAT prep in the past year. Guess where students are the night before the SAT? They're on YouTube, cramming. Now, clearly we have a teenage procrastination problem as well, but the point I want to make is, if it's a small moment that can make a difference, a tip on a college essay, a note about a scholarship that hasn't received enough applicants, just think about how we can magnify the scale of those interactions through the internet. Now, maybe you don't think that you're an expert in college admissions. Well, if you've gone to an institution of higher education, then I think you are substantially more expert than the hundreds of thousands of teenagers out there who want to do the same but don't know how. Right now, you can go online and you can meet teenagers where they are at. On social media, on forums, on YouTube, you can answer somebody's question, you can provide encouragement, you can tell them your story. You can take 10 minutes and share something you learned at this conference today that just might change somebody else's life. Internet culture would call this crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing means sharing the labor amongst a large community to achieve a cumulative result. Crowdsourcing college admissions means meeting today's young people where they are at, online, and finding better ways to help them reach the resources that they need. Online, the internet is a safe space, a safe and anonymous space for students who are less advantaged to seek help, where they won't feel judged for lacking the knowledge and experience that those from more privileged classes are born into. Access to information is a privilege. And if you are privileged enough to have information that can help someone on the path to better socioeconomic circumstances, then today's technology means you have the ability to share it. So my question for you is, how are you using the most powerful information distribution tool ever invented to help those who need it the most? Thank you.